So, very good afternoon, my dear parents. It's like a warm welcome to the webinar this afternoon. I would like to thank my Rainbow team to give me this opportunity to interact with you. Today, I would like to enlighten a few points about the first aid and parents' guide to the common medical emergencies in children. Normally, we do come across in the day-to-day practice in the emergency room. Okay, there are common categories I would like to enlighten. First is the fever related complications. Next is the seizures and convulsions, which are commonly related to the fever in the children, and common injuries, poisoning at home, allergic reactions, choking, fainting. These are the common things I want to enlighten and stress on that. And any queries regarding any other things, please put your questions in the chat box. I'll be answering you at the end of the session. So first, fever. Most common emergency, parents feel that fever. They come to the emergency room with the fever. First, you have to understand what is a common temperature. That is commonly 98.6 to up to 100.3. It is considered to be normal if it is taken orally. If it is 99, 100, just like don't rush to give the medication, and please check the temperature. If it is a mild grade temperature, check the temperature after half an hour and then recheck. If the temperature is rising, then only start giving the medication. And especially in infant babies, like neonate babies, I can say less than 30 days, 1 month babies, if it is more than 100.4, it is to be considered as a like rectal, like needs to be considered as a fever. If your infant is less than 3 months and has a rectal temperature of greater than 100.4, you have to rush to the emergency room. You have to contact the physician, emergency room doctor immediately. So if the child is well more than 6 months, mild grade fevers, please give the medicine. It's not an emergency. If the child is active and the fever comes down, no need to rush to the emergency room. And I like to see some do's and don'ts along like regarding the fever. Take your child's temperature. Most of the parents, they say they come to the clinic fever, they say touch, they say on touching baby is looking warm, on touching on the scalp baby is hot. That's why we have given the medicine. Please always document the temperature, okay, with the thermometer. Please document the temperature. If it is more than 100.4, then only give the medication. And every 5 hours, 6 hours, if the temperature keeps on coming, please give the medicine. And give lots of clear liquids to the drink. And like, don't worry if the baby is not hungry, because appetite will come down 50 to 50% of the normal intake. If it is taking like during fever episode, that is fine. And dress the child in a light, like close fittings clothing and diaper or underpants, and wet sponging with the normal tap water if the temperature reaches more than 101. And do not cover the child in a heavy clothes or like heavy blankets, especially if the child is having fever, because it will raise the temperature. It will raise the temperature badly. So you should be covering very light clothing, not over clothing of the baby. And do not bathe or spray the child in the cold water or ice water or alcohol. And when fever is an emergency, you need to really worry about the fever. Along with the fever, if the child is having the trouble breathing, if the baby is having less than 6 weeks old, complaints of a stiff neck or displays a limited movement of the neck, and has a seizures or abnormal movements, and extremely difficult to waken up or appears disoriented, and develops a dark red or purple rash over the body, and cries insolably, kind of non-stopping, not kind of consolable cry. Okay. And this is the one thing we do commonly see between 6 months to 5 years of child. Fever with fits, fever with convulsions, fever with seizures. This is very commonly we do see. These fits are mainly, it's like, what is a fit? Not a simple, like shivering during a fever is not a fit. If the child is conscious and interactive with you and looking at you, it's only a shivering. Like, don't confuse that as a fit. It is a kind of rhythmic jerking and loss of consciousness or staring look. It usually lasts for about 2 to 3 minutes. Keep calm and like the child on their side to make sure that they don't vomit or choke. Don't put anything in their mouth. And remove child's clothing, any covering, and make sure they are cool but not chilly. Okay, this is very important. This is commonly we do in the emergency room. Parents like rushing with the children along with the fever and seizures coming. like don't get panic. Please be safe. Please keep the surroundings keep safe and calm. See that like don't put anything in the child's mouth or child's hand, or like don't rush, kind of like don't do anything. It will subside in 2 to 3 minutes of time. Don't worry at all. And third thing is that I want to enlighten some allergic reaction. This is very common in the rainy season. Most of the times they are mainly of the mosquito bite allergies causing the local reactions, kind of bumps or swellings, or kind of redness, bumps, itchy skin, and red raised bumps, upset in the stomach, and vomiting. These allergic reactions are due to, can be of food, can be of insect bite, can be of latex or rubber materials, or medicines, can be allergic, plants, pollen, or pets. Okay. The warning symptoms, when you have to see, you can see the picture. There is a swollen lips, swollen like puffy face, and the child is having wheezing or snoring or gasping, swollen tongue or lips, trouble breathing. Please rush to the emergency room. If it is only a localized swelling on the skin, not involving the face, child is active, playful, don't worry at all. And the next thing is that faint. Faint is also very common in the children. They come to us when they go to the school and they stand in the prayer, they don't eat the breakfast, and they look very pale and kind of dizziness and reeling sensation. They fell suddenly, and that is a very commonly kind of emergency. They feel, come to the emergency room. Don't do anything. Keep the child lie down for 2 to 3 minutes of time. Keep the head down so that the kind of blood pressures will come normal. This is mainly due to the lack of temporary suspension of the blood supply to the brain while you standing posture. Okay, the fainting feeling will come down in a kind of 2 to 3 minutes. But if the faints are very commonly seeing and very frequently it's coming up along with any other symptoms, kind of chest pain, any kind of trouble breathing along with these faints, then we need to evaluate thoroughly. And nosebleeds, this is a very commonly we do encounter in the child kind of emergency room. Most commonly parents say that it's almost soaking the kerchiefs, soaking the kind of bed pillows. As soon as the child wakes up from the blood, it's a kind of panicking situation for the parent. They don't know where the bleeding is coming. This is very commonly because the nose is very rich in blood than any other body in our thing. So injury, very minor injury, small injury like a nose picking habit also can cause this kind of nose bleeding. So don't do anything. See the picture, the position. Don't do on the elevated position, because please pinch the soft part of the nose just to compress the bleeding blood vessels and apply the topical ice pack. Ask the child to mouth breathe for some time. In 2 to 3 minutes of time, you can see the stoppage of the bleeding. This is very common, especially some kids are very sensitive. They have the sensitive nasal mucosa, and due to the hot summer and the weather becomes dry and less humid area like Hyderabad, they do have the frequent nosebleeds. But don't do anything. This is very common. And foreign bodies, putting in the nose and ears, and that is very common. But don't do anything. If you are noticing or witnessing or seeing any foreign body in the nose or foreign body in the like ears, like don't try to remove those things unless you have experience in that, unless you have a proper instrument in your home. Otherwise you may push it into the nose or into the like ears, which may require the further minor surgical procedure also to remove that foreign bodies. Please come to the emergency room. And next thing is the cuts. Of course, the child, nowadays the children are staying at home, they're jumping around and causing the lot of injuries. These cuts and bruising are very common. When there is any cut, press firmly on the wound with a clean cloth. Okay, press for some time. It may take around 5 to 10 minutes of time. Until the stoppage of the bleeding, please press the wound, and if possible, raise the like injured limb. This will help to stop the bleeding. If the cut keeps bleeding, or if there is a gap between the edges of the wound, if you notice there is a significant cut, please come to the emergency room. May require the suturing. If there is a possibility of a foreign body, a broken piece of glass, or any kind of wooden piece, any foreign body, please come to the emergency room. And bruises and bumps. Bruises are very common, especially like infant babies when they start sitting, when they start standing with support. They do have always have the things like large bluish and black mark under the skin and forehead, especially on the forehead and the scalp area. We do see it is very painful to touch, a bluish discoloration. But don't do anything. Crushed ice in a bag or ice pack wrapped in a towel. It provides you the comfort. It reduces the swelling. Apply over that area and give some paracetamol for the pain relief. If the bruising or it is occurring onto a twisted joint, apply the topical ice and elevate that limb and contact the emergency room. Might probably any kind of bruising over the twisted joint may indicate. So bruises that worsen or bumps that swell too much may signal a greater injury. Normal like bruising takes around 24 to 48 hours of time. Like usually swelling comes down. And burns and scars. Scars are nothing but a just accidental pouring of the hot any kind of liquids. Okay, so immediately put the burn or scalds under the running cold water, normal running tap water, to reduce the heat in the skin. If your child's clothes are stuck to the skin, don't try to take them off. Okay, and don't put any butter. This is I want to insist because we usually face a lot of difficulties to seeing the injured, because by the time they come to the emergency room, they put a lot of ghee or butter, toothpaste, or whatever the nonsense they give everything onto the thing, because it's very difficult for us to assess the like wound, like how much is the extent. It's very difficult to clean that all the things. So don't put anything. Okay, just if you want to give some protective, some kind of sterile clothing or sterile gauze, you can cover on that area and then come to the emergency room. And poisoning is very common, especially infants. They try to possible sources are mainly a prescription medications at home and household cleaning products and vitamins, etc. Mainly thing is that when you suspect, commonly I do see some examples. I give you all out poisoning. All out is very commonly we do see. Second thing is that what we call naphthalene balls and camphor. Camphor is very, very important. Camphor, lot of I've seen almost a kind of 10 plus cases of camphor poisoning. Child coming to the emergency room with only seizures, with only unconsciousness. On kind of frequent inquiring of the parents, they say that we have a puja in the morning. Child was roaming around on with the camphor ball, might have ingested. Even strong wafer of the camphor, also it is toxic to the kind of maturing brain and like sensitive brain of the child. So please keep away this camphor vapors. These are all nothing but aromatic hydrocarbons. Strong vapors also please avoid. And like mainly we do see the like ingestion, camphor ingestion is very toxic. And take all the drug or poison containers with you to the hospital. Always you carry that because at least the doctor will assess kind of like how much medication might have ingested the child, so that it's easy for us like how much is the toxicity, so that what needs to be done. That is very important, because most of the times parents come as it is rushing, because they have their own kind of like worrying situation, and move the child like yourself away from the source of poisoning. And do not is mainly like do not give the child anything to eat or drink till we see the child and come to the emergency room. Especially do not induce vomiting like without a medical professional directions, because the inducing vomiting is a kind of like dangerous in some situations, like corrosives like acids or house cleaning products, aromatic hydrocarbons, as I told you, naphthalene, camphor, all out poisonings, and kerosene poisoning. They all can cause aspiration pneumonitis. That like inducing vomiting is a kind of complication than the poisoning itself. That is very important. And do not wait for the symptoms to appear. Please come to the emergency room immediately. Some poisonings may cause the delayed symptoms. And one thing I want to highlight, and because please read the prescription of the medication given by the doctor, because the pediatric, the concentrations are different, and the pharmacy guy, if he's not a qualified pharmacist, or if he's not like if he's not aware of the pediatric concentrations, most of the times it happens. And probably like the doctor writes something and he gives something, And the parents also misunderstand the drugs and they give the same concentration until they develop the toxic symptoms. So I just want to give you some example. For 10 kg child, suppose I have written a syrup crocin, normal crocin 5 ml, 120 mg, I have given 6 ml. So please see the concentration of the doctor prescription. So I have written syrup crocin 5 ml, 120 mg. So parents go to the pharmacy and take crocin drops. If they give crocin drops of 6 ml, what happens? So they give almost 4 times of the dose, 4 times of the paracetamol dose they give, which usually causes the toxicity. We have seen a number of cases coming to the emergency room, coming with unconsciousness and liver failure, and on frequent questioning, they show the bottles. Like this is what we are giving. This is mainly happens because of the ignorance of the parents, ignorance of the pharmacy, and not properly understanding the doctor prescription. Please cross check once again by leaving the like cabin of the doctors. Please see that like what is the concentration. That is very, very important. Write your questions in the question box. All the questions will be answered at the end of the sessions. Okay. And next thing is that choking. What is a choking? Choking is anything foreign body stuck into the airway, kind of breathing pipe. If you feel that child might have ingested something or got stuck to the air pipe, you do see some symptoms. Mild symptoms are can make sounds. Child can make sounds, can cough loudly. That is called mild. You stand by and let the child cough till the foreign body comes out. If you are worried about the breathing, come to the emergency room. Please watch over some symptoms. After taking something foreign body, if you suspect the foreign body is in the like breathing pipe or windpipe, if the child cannot breathe, cannot talk or make sounds, cannot cry, or high pitched noisy breathing, has a cough that is very quiet or has no sound, any change in the color of the skin, these are very, very important and like endangering symptoms. It is called severe. Please, we have to like rush to the emergency room. I'll show you a quick like guidance for the choking. This is a child choking. If you suspect any toddlers, first picture is that toddlers, if they can stand, so please see the position. Place one fist just above the child's navel with the thumb side facing the abdomen. Do not thirst hard enough to lift the child off his feet. A kind of thirst just above the navel, it may try to trigger out the foreign body. You can see the like infants, small baby less than 1 year. You can place the infant on the stomach down across your forearm. You have to give 5 quick forcible blows on the infant back with the heel of your hand. You can see the position carefully. And the second thing, on like changing the position, place 2 fingers in the middle of the infant's breastbone, it's called sternum, and give 5 quick downward thrust. Okay, you can see the position carefully, less than 1 year. So like both prone position and supine position, how we have to do, like before coming to the hospital, at least you can do some trial of getting out of the foreign body. And see, this is also one position. You can try for the choking. And this is a pediatric basic life support. This is a kind of a huge topic, but I want to just want to simulate you for a few seconds. This is a primary assessment. If you see a child or infant is motionless, not responsive, not breathing at all, sometimes it happens in the small infants, suddenly they stop feeding and suddenly in the middle of the night, especially infants less than 6 months, they stop breathing and they'll be lying down as a motionless. This is very, very important. This is called sudden infant death syndrome. So what you have to do, if the child is unresponsive, if the infant is not breathing, feel for the pulse, at least on the kind of at the side of elbow, feel for the pulse. If the pulse is not there, these are the 3 important steps you have to do. A basic life support you can do at home. Okay, place the child onto the flat surface, see that like airway opening, and properly giving the rescue breathing. This is very important. First thing is the compression and airway opening and rescue breathing of the child. And next, these are the common emergencies I have just like wanted to encounter and then like wanted to say, because these are the common emergencies. If you have anything to ask me, please put in the like question box. I'll answer you. And a few things I want in this season, COVID-19, especially pediatric, some few points I want to make sure that you have to know. Usually, this COVID-19 is very mild and moderate infections comprise about 90% of the kids. As per the data, I are seeing only severe and critical cases 5.9% versus adults, those are affecting 18.5%. Probably reasons are low exposure to the virions and being isolated at home and minimal exposures and having a good respiratory tracts and good lungs. I want to see that the routine vaccinations should be given in the COVID-19 outbreak. This is what I've been seeing in the last 2-3 months of time. Most of parents are calling up and asking, doctor, it's like vaccinations are really recommended, or like, shall we come to the hospital really for this vaccination? This is very important because immunization, the routine immunizations are very, very important. It should be given in the COVID-19 outbreaks, because one study I just want to tell you, for each COVID-19 death prevented, there would be as many as 34 to 1274 future deaths due to the diseases, including measles, yellow fever, polio, meningitis, pneumonia, and diarrhea. These are all we can prevent easily with the excellent vaccinations we have. Because if we keep on postponing the vaccines, these kind of vaccine preventable diseases may burden the health system also. So please avoid postponing the vaccination, especially less than 1 year. Please ensure that your child gets a vaccination less than 1 year without postponing. Especially, I want to stress on the respiratory vaccines like pneumococcal vaccination and influenza vaccination. This is very important, especially less than 5 years. This is mandatory vaccination, especially this season every year, and high risk population more than 60 years. This is very, very important, because most of the parents, they are coming asking, most of them, they're very desperate about coming out the doctor, like when the COVID vaccination is going to come up. But like we have excellent flu vaccination, excellent influenza vaccination, which has taken a lakhs of lives. In 2019 we got the flu pandemic, and we are just ignoring the like excellent vaccinations and awaiting for the ongoing, and like we don't know the like efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccination. Please take the existing vaccinations which can cause the respiratory causes. And I want to stress on one thing, like strictly no home nebulizations during COVID-19. Don't ever give the home nebulizations at home, okay? Because children, most of them, even mild cough and cold, they ask for the doctor, please prescribe the nebulization. Please prescribe something to give the medication for the nebulizations. Unless it is required, we don't generally recommend the nebulizations, especially this season. Parents may be treating themselves at home, simple cough and cold at home with the nebulizations, but don't do that, because the risk of transmission of COVID-19 to the susceptible may increase during nebulization treatment because of the potential to generate a high volume respiratory aerosol, because it is the main source of spreading of infections. Because whenever you give the nebulizations, all the steam come out, all the respiratory secretions come out and causes the spread of infections. Because child can be asymptomatic, child can have mild symptoms like cough, mild cold cough, and mild fever, but they can because every family has a susceptible kind of elderly more than 60 years and senior citizen who are having chronic medical issues. For them, they cause a lot of issues and a lot of troublesome and severe complications. Suppose if the child is asthmatic, if the child really requires a nebulizations or allergic symptoms, it should be replaced with the kind of spacers and inhalers what I've showed you in the picture. You please like go to the doctor and advise about the like alternative to the nebulizations. Please don't use the nebulizations. Even hospitals also were taking utmost precautions for giving the nebulizations, with almost avoiding the nebulizations. If it is really required to give the nebulizations, the child is not able to take these the kind of inhalers, we're doing utmost PPE precautions and high level precautions. That is very, very important. And finally, I want to stress on that children under the age of 2 years should not wear the masks or face coverings. This causes the kind of choking or suffocation for them. That causes a lot of like issues with the breathing than the kind of protection for the respiratory viruses. Because I'm seeing most of the infant babies, they're coming with the mask, 9 months baby with the mask. No, we should not give any mask to the like less than 2 years. Probably you can have small face shields kind of thing, small helmets kind of thing, small face shields you can use if you can get in the kind of market. Otherwise, strictly under 2 years, no masks, no face coverings. Okay. I think for the, I would like to end the session. Thank you. Now I'll take a few questionnaires. So someone is asking, is there any medicine like Monter can we use in this corona time for long time, like 4 to 5 months, to make sure not to have cold? Because cold and cough is really susceptible at this time. No, it's strictly no. Don't use any kind of preventive medicines like Monter. Monter is in a kind of allergic medications. We do give for the asthmatic babies, severe allergic, but don't use. Strictly, we don't recommend to use any kind of preventive medicines. Okay. If the child keeps on putting toys and other items in the mouth, how to avoid any stomach infections? These mouthing habits are very, very common, especially infants less than 1 year. You have to keep the surroundings hygiene and clean, and cleaning the toys regularly. That is the only alternative. Stomach infections, you please ensure that child receives the rotavirus, that is a diarrheal vaccination. No, normally child receives in 2, 3, 4 months of time. Until 8 months we can catch up. Please ensure that. That's the one thing. And that there is no alternative as such. We have to keep the place and hygiene, toys and clean. That's it. And if the child eats any foreign matter, what to do? Foreign matter in the sense, what exactly a foreign matter? Foreign matter in the sense foreign body. There are a lot of foreign bodies which are very high likely. Foreign body, if you are suspecting any foreign body, suspecting a child eats any foreign body, we have to ensure, because especially a kind of coins and button batteries, metals, those things we have to remove within 6 hours half time, especially a kind of button batteries, those are corrosive. Those things we have to remove within 6 hours of time. Those are very important. Other bland plastic or wooden kind of thing, we have to ensure sharp objects should not be there. But we need to, you have to come to the emergency room, especially for suspecting, or come to the doctor. We'll ensure that any non-metallic things, anything, after examining the child, we'll come to know that. And third question, during this COVID-19 scenario, can a child between 1 to 2 years wear mask? No. Less than 2 years, strictly, we don't advise wearing the vaccine face mask for the children. That usually causes a lot of like breathing issues and suffocation. If not, how to avoid it? Yeah, as I told you, any kind of face shields, or keep a social distance. That is very important. Keep the child. If you're coming to the hospital, of course, we are taking utmost precautions, keeping a distance, at least a 6 feet distance from anyone else. And keep a face shield, any kind of face shields, anything that usually helps. Okay. What precautions should be taken while coming for vaccinations? No need, actually, no strict precautions. You have to, the attenders have to, if the child is more than 2 years, please, you have to advise the like wearing the mask, and parents should wear the mask like before coming to the hospital. We are screening at the entrance. We are sanitizing the parents and things, and we need to have the screening at the entrance. We are taking, but from your side, you have to do that. You have to reveal you are coming from a containment zones, or if you are having any cough, cold, any suspicious contact with the positive patients, any traveling recently in the, please like disclose to us. That is very important. Please wear mask. That's it, before coming to the hospital. That's it. Next question. I'll call out as a parent's name also. Hemalata is asking, is it okay to put mask for 5 years kids? Yes, you can use the face mask, but please educate them not to touch the outer surface of the mask too frequently. That is a main contaminated surface. Please encourage them not to touch that mask frequently. We need to educate them. Kartikeya Ram is asking, kindly share this PPT with us. This will help. Yeah, we can share this PPT if you want. Yes. Bhavani Maharana is asking, my child of 1 year is not drinking much water. Is it's not good, or which alternative we should give. Water, of course, if the child is not having water, in the sense if the child is passing good amount of urine at least once in 6 hours of time, having the milk at least 400 ml in a day, you have to give the alternative. If the child is taking other alternative liquids, that is fine. Passing good amount of urine, that is fine. Give more of the water containing fruits, water containing, because that usually takes care of the thirst. If the child is having the breastfeeding, that usually satisfies the thirst of the baby also. But don't forcibly, as much the baby drinks, as much small sips you can encourage. Anything you can have, alternatively some soups kind of thing, dal soups, or any sago soups kind of thing, you can encourage if the child is not taking water as such, plain water. And Drishit Gogi is asking, if the child has the fever and cough, how do we know whether it is a regular viral or COVID-19? Mm, is asking. Yeah, it's actually challenging question you have asked me, because COVID-19 can be asymptomatic in the children. They can have COVID-19 even without symptoms also. The child is having, usually, and it's very unlikely child gets positive COVID if no contact history, if there is no suspicious COVID positive contact, no strong family history of COVID positive. We don't generally suspect. But you have to always isolate your child fever with cough and attenders from senior citizens. So suppose if you're having elderly at home more than 60 years taking care of the kid, please avoid frequent contacting with the child, like till the fever subsides, till the cough subsides. Uh, Please keep them away from the senior citizens, because they are more susceptible. As of now, we are testing for acute respiratory cases, means any kind of viral pneumonias, any child requiring hospitalizations, those kids only we are doing the testing. But now, yeah, probably we have to do the all fever cases, because community spread has started. Probably we need to think of doing all this fever cough also. We are we are about to start that COVID-19 testing also. If the parents insist, yeah, we have to do the testing. Can be a COVID-19. COVID-19 is nothing but any other flu viruses, any other kind of respiratory viruses. We need to take all the droplet precautions, respiratory precautions. That's it. Whoever taking care of the baby, frequent hand washing, frequent hygiene. That is very important. And Sagar is asking for skin allergies, any recommended ointment. Uh, Skin allergies are completely different. It can be an eczema, it can be a mild mosquito bite allergies, those things. But over-counter medicine, I can give you like simple Calosoft or calamine lotion. Simple calamine lotions can help to soothe the topical skin allergies, like simple redness or bumps, anything you can. But according to the severity, on seeing the skin allergy, if it is how severe it is, then only we need to give the ointment. There are a lot of ointments. According to the severity, we need to give. Simple calamine lotions you can apply topically. And Jyotsna is asking, ma'am, can you please suggest any home remedies to avoid cold and cough, and to keep digestive system healthy, as they are less very exercise, as there is very less exercise at home. For children, I suppose the asking for about the children. You can call cold and cough remedies, as mainly cold and cough occurs when we expose outside to the respiratory, any kind of cold weather, any kind of family members are having similar symptoms, we do get cold and cough. Home remedies, yeah, you have to drink a good, everything, I suppose, warm water, little honey, sips continuously, any kind of Ayurvedic, any kind of natural remedies you can follow at home. Digestive system healthy in the sense, for the kids, don't give too much of sugary items in the, because I'm seeing the last 3-4 months is itself weight gain of the kids. I'm seeing 4 months back, and coming after 4 months they're coming with a drastic gain in the weight. Please avoid the kind of refined sugars containing things like maida products like biscuits, chocolates. Please give a day, 1 or 2 days in a week, but don't encourage them to take it regularly. That is very important. That have a lot of calories and lot of weight gain. And fried items also, you prepare at home and then give fried items like chips and chocolates, biscuits, and those things. Please try to avoid. Encourage them to take more of the vegetables and fruits. That is very important. And What are the symptoms for ringworm in children? Again, Maharana is asking, ringworm is usually we do see ringworms, lot of varieties of ringworm we do see. On the skin, we do have as the name indicates, ring-like lesion, ring-like red lesions on the skin, on especially skin folds we do see, where there is excess of moisture. Depending on the area of involvement, we do call as a different names and different treatment modalities, also different. On seeing that thing, then we need to see any antifungal medications are really required. Sometimes allergic eczema rashes also, they mimic like a ringworm, but we need to rule out those things also. Can we use a sanitizer for children between ages 2 to 5 years? Sagar is asking. Mm, yes, you can use. You have to use the sanitizers, and of course, children, they are more uh, because they keep on putting the fingers in the mouth. Please educate them, encourage them not to put the fingers in the mouth. That is very important. Properly sanitize for at least 20 seconds. You need to do the sanitizing, the way, the steps of the sanitizing, like a hand washing. That is very important. Neha Jain is asking, our 1-year-old son keeps on hitting his head on surfaces when he does not get what he wants. Is there is a way we can make him stop doing this? This 1 year, especially toddlers kids, 1 year to 2 years, especially up to 3 years, we do see this. These are called temper tantrums. Whenever they want anything, till they get the things, whatever they want, they get the head banging, nodding the head to the floor, and they throw the things. These are all tantrums. They hurt themselves. This is very common. We need to keep calm, and this is a kind of behavioral habit. So if suppose, for example, if you see a sharp object in the child's hand, if you want to take out that, don't shout and don't try to drag that out immediately. Try to give some alternative things and try to engage him in that, and slowly you take out that. Otherwise they feel very kind of negative kind of thinking. So these are the very normal like toddlers tantrums. They outgrow it. By if they reach around 2 years, they outgrow it. But take care of the injuries. Sometimes they don't know the pattern of injuries and level of injuries. They just go and hit the hard objects. So like injury prone areas and surrounding objects, sharp edges and any kind of sharp coverings, any like cupboards, anything, you just cover up the sharp ends, sharp objects. That's it. Rama is asking, ma'am, can we give kids about 2 years Zincovit syrup as multivitamin is required during this vivid time? Yeah, you can give multivitamins, but it is not going to stop for any kind of illnesses. But all rather than multivitamins, you have to get the all these vitamins and minerals through the food what we take. There's no harm in giving. Yes, you can give Zincovit or multivitamins. You can give. Just suppose a 5 ml of syrup in a day, you can continue 2 3 months of time. There is no harm in giving. And give good citrus fruits. That is very important. And vitamin C containing things. Senthil Kumar is asking, Rushika Sri sometimes complains about stomach pain, not taking more water. This kind of tummy pain, stomach pain is very common. These are kind of functional pains. Please ensure they have to take a good balanced diet, not too much of sugars and maida containing products. Ensure they have to go to the toilet and stools regularly. They should not hold the stools. They should not be constipated. That is a very important. Before passing the stools and flatters, gas, they do have the stomach pain. Very self-limiting pain on and off. If they're playful, active, very few seconds or 1 or 2 minutes, if they're complaining, don't worry. This is very functional pains. Don't worry at all. And if the child is complaining for pain more often, more than 5 minutes, if the pain is occurring in the sleep also, if she's waking up, any vomitings, loose motions, constipation, if she's struggling to pass the stools, those things you have to, we have to address the issues. Shravanti is asking, my child passes very hard motion, what we can give for this case? Actually, constipation is a, we need to assess the child age and how often they are how often they're going for the stools, what is the diet. We need to take entire diet history and child's pattern of this. It really requires medication. That is very, very important. we need to address the issues, and we have to see actually. Okay, medications, of course, non-medications, we can give some kind of lessening the milk. Suppose uh, more than 1 year of child, 400 ml of milk is sufficient. Don't give more than that. Milk is a constipated diet. And avoid the maida products. Give more of the fiber diet, fruits and vegetables. Encourage the child to go for the stools after the meal. They keep on, because children, they keep on postponing the constipation. So please encourage them to go to the stool, to go to the toilet and empty the bowel for a particular time in a day. So please encourage them. That is very, this is called habitual constipation. If the symptoms still persist, please come back. Please come and review with us. And Neha Jain is asking, our child avoids drinking normal milk. He only want breast milk. Is it okay? Any tips to help him? Breast milk weaning off after 1 year. We have to start weaning off from the breastfeeding from 1 year. You have to stop the breastfeeding initially in the daytime completely, and then nighttime is going to be challenging. Nighttime we have to slowly wean off, keep the child with anyone else apart from you, and if they're very stubborn, you have to be also stubborn for not giving the breastfeeding. Give like good amount of dinner in the night time. The child should not go to the bed with an empty tummy. If there is a gap of more than 3 hours in between the dinner time and sleeping time, obviously they go to the bed with a hunger tummy, and they frequently wakes up for the breastfeeding. Please ensure any avoidable things we can. Okay, slowly they outgrow, and they'll stop the breastfeeding. We need to be also stubborn like them. If they are asking for the breastfeeding, probably may not because of the hunger, they need some soothing to go back to the sleep. That is very common. Till they get adjusted to the sleeping pattern, they continue. Yeah, that is slowly we have to kind of, it's not a strict, it's not a, there's no medications as such for that. It's a kind of behavioral issues. Okay, developing food, developing immunity, any foods recommend, Sagar? Immunity boosting medication, there is no particular immunity boosting medicines. Of course, you have to avoid, you have to eat the good balanced diet, and good fruits and vegetables. Good diet and good balanced diet, we have to take care of our um, things very well. And children, especially in this COVID time, they're staying at home, more of addicted to the junk foods. Please avoid, please avoid. That is very, very important. Encourage them to take the healthy food. That is very important. Developing immunity, there is no food actually strongly recommended. Any balanced diet, any fruits and vegetables are mainly a kind of immune boosting things. Can we skip a 5th year vaccination? It is due in September. Your is regular repeat, if you remember. 5th year vaccination, yeah, till you can. There's a kind of booster dose. 5th year vaccination is going to be booster dose. You can wait 2 to 3 months, but not more than that. But please ensure to get the flu vaccination of all kids less than 5 years. That is very, very important. Because of the current situation of the child is not going, should we have to give vitamin D for 15-month-old baby? Yes, you can give vitamin D, whatever the supplement we do give for infants, especially less than 1 year. We do give every infant to supplement, but of course they're staying it indoors and not exposed to sunlight. The same dose you can continue like till 2 years. Probably next 1 year, just go ahead and give normal requirement. 400 IU is sufficient. That's 1 ml of vitamin D3, just D drops what we see. 400 international units we can give as a daily supplement. Okay, I suppose I answered all the questions. Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for attending this webinar.